us as we explain about the New Haven Tutoring Initiative. If you're just signing in, just give us another few minutes. We'll let a few more people join, and then we will get underway. All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Garrett Sheehan. I'm President and CEO of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. Great to have so many people joining us, whether you're joining us live. We're also recording this so that others can view it throughout the next few weeks as we get people excited and signed up for the New Haven Tutoring Initiative. There's lots of partners. This is an initiative of the mayor to get involved in New Haven public schools and support the school system. So we're excited to just walk you through it. Excited that you've taken that first step to watch this video, join us live today to learn more about the program. I'm going to turn things over to Katie Ambrosio with the Chamber, who is going to talk through really the logistics of the program, all the things you need to know. We'll take questions. We have other speakers with us who can provide more details, but this is really meant to be an information session where you can learn more about the New Haven Tutoring Initiative. Any questions you have, we'll take some of those questions today, but also follow up with anyone at the Chamber or the specific organization that you're planning on working with. So Katie, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Garrett. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Ambrosio, and I'm the Chamber's Public Policy and Strategic Communication Specialist. We're here today to talk about the New Haven Tutoring Initiative and how you can, learn more about what this initiative is, how it started, and most importantly, how you can get involved. And as Garrett mentioned, we have some partners here with us today who will help to answer the questions towards the end. So the New Haven Tutoring Initiative was started because of the student literacy and math crisis in the New Haven public schools. There are many challenges that New Haven students are facing currently after the pandemic and just due to longstanding systemic issues, including low test scores, chronic absenteeism, and like many other public school systems, dealing with staff shortages at the teacher level. So currently, as of 2022, 84% of New Haven public schools, third graders, are reading below grade level. And 88% of New Haven public schools, third graders, are performing below grade level in math. So if we compare this to pre-pandemic, you can kind of see the comparison. The pandemic has definitely exacerbated the issue. In 2019, 66% of New Haven public schools, 3rd through 8th graders were below grade level in literacy, and 77.5% were below grade level in math. As you can see, this is a 11% jump in both kind of sections now. In 2022, 77% are below grade level in literacy and 88% are below grade level in math. And this is 3rd through 8th grade that these numbers are showcasing. So New Haven students lost a year and 3 months in math during the pandemic, and compared to statewide data, overall Connecticut students lost 7 months in math. So it is kind of a double, they kind of lost twice the amount of time during the pandemic. So because of this, the New Haven Tutoring Initiative was created through the Mayor Elliker and the City of New Haven, and the Board of Alders kind of went to the Board of Alders to approve, I believe it is $1.3 million in ARPA to kind of jumpstart this program and start to address the issue. So what is the New Haven Tutoring Initiative? So this is really summer and after school programming that will embed literacy and math tutoring into existing summer and after school programs. This is geared for 1st through 5th graders and is meant to complement the classroom instruction that happens during the day and help prevent the summer slide that may happen when students are not in school and maybe not taking it, maybe not participating in educational activities. So there are different subject matter experts, New Haven Reads and New Haven Counts, who have kind of created the programming for tutoring. They're very knowledgeable about how to kind of help students in this area. So they've partnered with a diverse set of community youth agencies across the city, and they're facilitating citywide literacy and math events. So how can we get involved? They're looking to engage community volunteers and really build a movement of literacy and math tutoring. Talked about the partners. So the project coordination is led by United Way of Greater New Haven, and the literacy and math leadership are led by New Haven Reads and New Haven Counts. On this screen, you'll see a few other organizations that are involved in the initiative, and they are looking for more for the fall. I know Ali mentioned they are just recently released an RFP, so if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out about that as well. So they're looking for additional partners, and there will be more available in the fall. So how can the business community be supportive? As I mentioned, the initiative needs volunteers in order to impact the most amount of students as possible. And our goal here at the Chamber is to recruit business leaders such as yourselves and employees to this initiative. We ask for employers to be flexible in allowing their employees to tutor during the workday. And all of these efforts together will directly support New Haven students and address the achievement gap that currently exists. So what is required of you to tutor? So that you need to be available to do one tutoring session per week with a student for at least 1 hour. And you will have 1 hour of training beforehand with additional training opportunities as needed. As I mentioned, this is meant to really complement the in-classroom instruction. So you're not expected to be, a teacher, you're expected to be there to support the student, and the literacy and math. It is a really easy process. There are staff available at each organization that you choose to participate with that can help answer any questions. You're never alone with the student. You're always surrounded by other tutors, other students, and staff at those agencies. You are required to complete a background check prior to getting started as well. And there is really a diverse availability for time, day to tutor. So there's Monday through Friday and Saturday in-person sessions available. And when we take a look at the application form later, you'll be able to see kind of what times and see what times work for you. So the goal overall is to work with the same student over the time that you're volunteering, and to build a relationship with that student. And build trust with them, so they're looking forward to coming in and working with you. So consistency is the goal, and you should really choose a time that works for you. And if you need to be away, as I mentioned, there's staff available to cover those spots if needed, but they do ask for 2 weeks notice if you need to be away. As Garrett mentioned, we'll be doing a question and answer at the end. But if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to drop them in the chat. So now we'll move on to what tutoring looks like. We really try to break it down into what exactly the 1 hour is composed of every week, to showcase how simple and easy it really is. So we'll start with literacy tutoring. As I mentioned, before you come in, you'll have 1 hour of training that, where they'll teach you kind of everything that I'll talk about in a lot more detail than I will. But it is, they'll teach you, kind of how you need to get started. So there will also be a volunteer coordinator at the site who will direct you to the student that you will be working with. And again, the goal is to continue to work with that same student over time. You'll grab the student's folder, which contains all of the information that you need for the session, any workbooks, notebooks, regular books that they're reading, and passwords and all of that information. And then you'll sit down with your student and begin the session.
Katie, I think the big point for everyone here is that you're not going to be out on an island. There's lots of support. This is a very structured program where you'll be supported to be able to assist the student that you're working with. There's staff on site, especially each location. They have different staff participants who will help you if you have any questions, if there's any issues. So just really want to make that clear, because this can seem like a big commitment. It is a big commitment to work with a student, but there's lots of help along the way as you do the program.
Thank you, Garrett. So the literacy program is composed of 4 different components, each 15 minutes. So you know exactly what you need to be doing during your 1 hour. So for the first 15 minutes, you'll work with your student on Lexia. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a very interactive online reading program, provides phonic instruction and practice for students. There are little mini games that students can play, and you just kind of work through them, make sure they're working through the program that they're currently in. Following that, you'll work for another 15 minutes on workbook exercises that are provided to each student. And as you can see, there's a variety of books. So as they start to advance through the program, they'll, finish one book and move on to the next. So they're always just continually working and advancing. So this will provide an opportunity for you to work really closely with your student so that they can practice the physical acts of letter formation and writing and enforce literacy concepts. So that is the second kind of component of your 1 hour. Following that, you will engage in a read aloud with your student. So your student will pick a book that really interests them and gets them excited about reading, and they'll spend 15 minutes either reading the book out loud to you, or I know in some cases they ask for you to read out loud to your student in a really engaging way, depending on what level they're in. So it will really depend on the student. And then as a reward for all of their hard work throughout the session, you will spend your final 15 minutes with them playing a game of their choosing. There's a really big pile of game. I know I've played games with my student that I had never heard of. So you're always learning something new during your time there too. And it's a really great way to kind of relationship build with your student. So that is kind of how the whole hour is composed of. As Garrett mentioned, there's always someone there should you need assistance anytime during your tutoring session. But the main goal, I think, of being a tutor is keeping them on track for the 1 hour and keeping them engaged. And after each tutoring session, you will write notes about your session, how your student did, and any general comments for the staff to then review and better understand how the student is progressing. And if you may have a question or concern, they'll kind of write back to you in the notebook that you can read at your next session. So math tutoring, this component is led by New Haven Counts, and it's kind of a very similar, composed of very similar components throughout the 1 hour that you are working with a student. So the first 10 minutes of the session, you'll work with your student online with Reflex, Khan, and iReady. Either of those programs are all very similar to Lexia, very interactive online programs that provide repetition. And there are also offline components if your student is kind of tired of working on a laptop at school or wants to work, with packets or flashcards. Those are also available. So it is really the choice of the student. And you can also talk to the staff there if you have any questions about that. Following those 10 minutes, you'll spend 10 minutes of the tutoring session working with your student practicing math vocabulary on either Quizlet or Kahoot. So if you're not familiar with these are really like flashcard oriented programs. So Quizlet, there are a bunch of flashcards on there, or Kahoot has a lot of kind of mini multiple choice games. It's really quizzing the student and working on the math vocabulary here. The following 20 minutes of the session, you'll work on problem solving with your student on Khan, Academy, or iReady. Again, very interactive programs. As you can see here, there are a few different examples of what that program may look like. And then for 5 minutes, you'll reflect on how the session went with your student. You can either enter this information into a Google survey or in the student's folder, similar to how you do with the literacy tutoring. And the final 15 minutes of the tutoring session, again, a reward for the students playing math games that are available in the New Haven Counts math kits. And finally, as I mentioned before, there are offline options available if your student wishes to work with packets or physical flashcards that you can take advantage of as a tutor. So again, just want to stress how easy this whole process is, from applying to the to tutor to then actually physically being in person and tutoring your student. There is always support available to you, and it is a very organized program. New Haven Counts and New Haven Reads both have a lot of knowledge on how the program needs to run to be effective and to really help the student. So how can you get involved? So you can visit the website, which I will put in the chat shortly, and click on the application and start applying. You can coordinate with your company. For example, I know some companies have volunteer hours where an employee can go volunteer during the day, or if not, you can always ask your supervisors. So that is the first step. After that, you will complete a background check online and conduct a short interview online as well. And the initiative, after you've completed your application, they will reach out to you to complete these next few steps. After you are all clear with those 2 steps, the initiative partner that you're working with will also reach out to you to schedule training for you and discuss placement, what site you'll be working at and what date and time that works with your schedule. And then after you've done all of this and kind of decided on the time that works for you, you can start tutoring. So the fall program, we are at the end of August, but the fall program begins in September at some sites and October at many of the sites, especially as they're looking for new partners. So it is a very quick process. I will stop sharing my screen and just go over to the application online so I can show you all what the application looks like.
And as Katie's doing that, if you have questions, put them in the chat. We, of course, are available to speak to people one-on-one about questions you have, but feel free to put them in the chat and we'll share those with everyone.
Thank you, Garrett. So this is what the application looks like. Very simple. There's maybe about 10 questions on this application. So just fill out your first and last name, your contact information, address. You can always share your place of employment if they are being flexible with you and allowing you to work during work hours. And we would also ask if you are on this webinar or watching this recording and you learn about the initiative through the chamber, that you would mention us here and how you learn about the opportunity. It is critical for us to know if recruitment is working and what more we need to do of. And then you can choose which kind of tutoring you're interested in, either math or literacy, and what age group you prefer to work with. Maybe you have a child who's in a certain grade and you would like to work with someone who's of that age as well, or have great experiences there. You can indicate that there. Again, here there are a lot of available options Monday through Friday and Saturday, where you can check all that apply, and you do not need to check more than one day if one day is preferable for you. They really are willing to work with you on what date and time you're looking for. And then here you can choose a nonprofit. If you have a specific nonprofit you would like to volunteer for, it is all included here, the different ones. And I'm sure, Ali, there will be more to come in the fall too. And then that is the application. I'll put the link in the chat and pass it back to you, Garrett.
Great. Thanks, Katie. I've seen questions come out. One, when we send this out, we'll send out this entire recording. We'll send out the slides as well and the link for everyone to get involved. And I'll just reemphasize, as Katie was going through it, Katie and I both already are tutoring. It's a great experience. It's a very easy way to be able to get engaged and give something back and help out students. It's a very small commitment. The problems that New Haven, but all schools are facing are really huge, but if everyone can do a little part, it really starts to chip away at some of those issues. We do have some of the, I'll call them experts, who are really building this program out. And this is at the early stages, early days of this program. It's going to continue to ramp up. So the opportunity right now to jump in at the beginning. But I'm going to ask each of them to say a few words. They'll also be in a great position to answer some of the questions. I'll just introduce everyone and then we'll go to each speaker. So from the United Way for Greater New Haven, we have Ali Fox, who is the Vice President of Community Impact. United Way is the steward organization for the overall program. From New Haven Reads, we have Fernanda Franco, who is the Outreach Director, and also Doressa Scott, who is the Literacy Initiative Director, and we'll hear from both of them. New Haven Reads is really the subject matter expert for the literacy programs, and the subject matter for expert for math is New Haven Counts, and we have Ron Coleman, Executive Director. Before I introduce them or have them speak, I also just mentioned, and it was on one of the slides, there are many more organizations that are part of this program. Really, to be able to reach as many students, it's going to take a lot of involvement. And so those other organizations are places where you can volunteer as well, but you all see all of that on the application itself. So Allie, maybe I'll have you start us off.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Garrett. And thank you, Katie. We're just honored that you all have taken the time to spotlight and showcase this opportunity for members of the chamber and for the community, and to actually practice what you preach, right? The both of you are there, you are doing the volunteering, you are experiencing it firsthand. So thank you for that commitment as well. I'm honored to be here as part of United Way, as part of this tutoring initiative. It truly has been a group of youth agencies that have come together from the beginning to design this together. And that would be New Haven Reads, New Haven Counts, Leap, Boys and Girls Club, Horizons, New Heights. So there's a group of us that have really been working together. And as both Garrett and Katie mentioned, we actually have released a grant for the fall. And so those organizations I just mentioned, we helped pilot this summer. So we were able to learn a little bit about how to make this work on a citywide level, which, as you can imagine, isn't easy. And there's been a lot of learning. There will continue to be a lot of learning. But with this new grant opportunity, as you said, we want to be able to expand this to more after-school youth agencies in New Haven. And that is both for a range of organizations with a range of staff capacity and experience. So both those kinds of youth organizations that may do a little bit of this already. They may have homework help or after school assistance, and they might opt for a grant that we're calling the tutoring grant and do that one-on-one structured coaching and literacy and math that you just described. But we're also creating another opportunity for more grassroots organizations that, might be smaller, might have less capacity, might have less experience, but we know that this takes a community, it takes the village to be able to really make a change in the support of students in their literacy and math scores. And so we want to make sure that we're able to support those organizations that are in community, serving kids around the corner from where they're located. And so we have what we're calling the Infusion Grant that will be an opportunity with, perhaps still that read alouds, math activities, but with less structure. But again, that's bringing more organizations into this collective of groups that are working together to change this. And then the last thing I'll mention is that along with all of those opportunities, which will happen both this fall as well as the spring, the summer, the following fall, spring, and summer. So through August 2025 is the length of this project initially, but our hope is that we prove the impact and are able to continue this long beyond that time period. But throughout that time, we're also going to have community events because we know, there are a number of kids that will benefit from this experience directly, but we want their parents, we want their aunts and uncles, we want their grandparents, we want their neighbors, we want the churches, we want the food pantries. We want many different places and spaces around Greater New Haven to invest in building this movement towards supporting our young people in their literacy and math. So be on the lookout for those events as well. And we'll be sure and share that with the chamber, and you can put the word out around those events. There'll be volunteer opportunities there as well. But again, just thank you for your interest and your time. And please reach out to myself or any of my colleagues here with more questions about the program. So thank you.
Thanks, Allie. Let me turn now to Fernanda and then Dorisa as well. Fernanda?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having us. I'm going to be just really quick about it. New Haven Reads, we are really happy to be a part of this. We're really lucky to be a part of this. One of the things that we had said even last year, we were like, oh, we want to expand, right, and provide support to more kids. And then the mayor came up with this idea, and it was manifested. So one thing I do want to say is a lot of the volunteers that come in, they are concerned. They're worried. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I don't know enough to tutor. You don't need to be a subject matter expert to make a massive difference in the life of a child, right? You're here, you're showing up for them 1 hour a week. You're showing them that they are worth your time, and therefore that they're worth their own time, right? And so it's a small thing, but it's a huge thing, right? And a little bit further, beyond just the emotional connection, as Ali said, as Garrett said, this is a communal issue, because these third graders that are so massively behind in 10, 15 years, that's our workforce, right? And so we need to support them now so that they can continue to grow, they can have opportunities for this growth. So thank you for being here, for watching this video, and I hope that you do go ahead and fill out the application. Let us know that you were a part of this what's the word I'm looking for? A part of this group, right? And we will make sure to let Katie know that she's doing an excellent job. And really, Katie, I like, you could do my job, so I'll call you. Well, thank you.
Teresa.
Hi, I'm Dr. D. Scott, and how excited I am that I get to spend time with you to talk about something that is so critical in New Haven, right? I know for a fact that literacy and the ability to read and count changes trajectories for many, many children, and especially for BIPOC children. And so how incredibly honored I am to have this opportunity to share what we are experts in, and we love to do. New Haven Reads has a phenomenal track record with helping children not only reach proficiency, but also meet and exceed goals. And so thank you so much for being willing to volunteer with us. If there is anything that questions that are very specific, we have our very wonderful volunteer director or outreach coordinator, Fernanda Franco, who is just phenomenal with being able to bring in people. As we said, you don't have to be an expert in content area. We certainly have expertise that we're willing to loan, but you do have to love children, right? And want to see children succeed. And so if there's anything that I can do on our end, I most certainly am happy to assist. I have a team of literacy instructors that will be with you during your volunteer time with whatever organization you choose. And they'll walk you through the steps, and they're also phenomenal in what they're able to deliver and how working with people is so incredible. Right. And we would be able to teach you how to work with small people, right? K5 is a phenomenal age group. They're little sponges. And as Fernanda said, you are going to be so, for lack of better words, smitten with the initiative and with our students that they become your students. And this is a citywide initiative. It is a citywide crisis that mirrors what we see nationally. And so thank you so much for the willingness to be with us on our
Dee.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we don't want to forget about math, because it's a really important component of this. So Ron Coleman with New Haven Counts. Ron?
Yeah. Math is economics. Math is incentives, probabilities, outcomes, all that great stuff. And we do know, and I recognize here, being a math person and not being afraid to say that math has actually brought a lot of joy to my life and being able to think critically and make decisions. But literacy is the foundation. If you're not able to read the word problems, and most of the assessments and most of the work are word problems, making meaning out of that, the math, it doesn't matter how great you are with your facts. So literacy is super important, and I recognize that. But we absolutely cannot fall fate to the just being afraid of math. Math can open so many doors, and there are ways that over the last couple decades that we have figured out ways to really break down math in a concrete, pictorial, and then abstract way. And a lot of the way that and I went to great schools, a lot of the way that I learned was memorization and abstract. And since then, and we were able to do it, right? But since then, all of the different programs that we work with and a lot of great people in the education space have been really pushing this CPA model. And so our training actually informs you on what that looks like. The programs themselves and the model walk you through everything, and you're there as a guide and a support system, just like Fernanda said. So you don't have to be an expert at math to teach, to support a kindergarten through fifth grade student in that. The platforms, actually, a lot of them explain where the errors are. A lot of it is guiding students. A lot of it is coaching and letting them know when they make a mistake. Like, that is not final. Failure is not final. We make mistakes all the time. And so we go through that. Someone put cheerleading in there. Absolutely. I spent 8 years working with middle school students as a classroom teacher. And the lessons that went the best were not necessarily the lessons that I knew the most about or my best lesson plans, right? So a lot of times the best lesson plans go out the door because you didn't assess where the breakdown was, or it was just above where the students are. So these platforms really hit students exactly where they are. We handle the assessments, so you don't have to handle that piece. And then the platforms take that data on the assessments to make it super relevant and comfortable for students starting out. And so you, as the tutor and mentor, are there to build friendship, to build trust, and to support them through the systems and help them track their learning and just talk about it. Being able to reflect on the vocabulary that we did not know 2 weeks ago and that we know now means that when that student goes back to class, that teacher, they're going to connect in a different way. And that student might even engage more in class and raise their hand because they're the only one that knows what that word means, like at a concrete level. So that's really what it's all about. And we're hiring an education director who's going to be able to support everyone. And we have folks on site who are high school students and current certified educators who will be there to support everyone through the walking in the door to where is your setup, to here are your materials, and here's where you place everything afterwards. So again, super happy to have 32 other people on this call. Grateful just to be in great company with Katie and Garrett here at the Chamber, and of course our partners here at United Way and New Haven Reads. This really is becoming a community effort, and that's the only way at scale we change these numbers, right? New Haven Reads has been around a lot longer than us, and 500-600 kids every year are getting that support and making the jump. But we really need these numbers over the next 5 to 10 years to be in the 2000s. So we're looking at the Chamber, we're looking at our business owners, we're looking at our undergraduate students, we're looking at how we engage our high school students who literally have just learned like these concepts. And if we get everyone involved in mentoring and tutoring one student, we can hit that 2,000 number. I know it seems crazy, but we really can. We have a city of 140,000. And so the more people who can sign up and the more that we can edify the process of changing a life, the faster we get to that 2,000 number, which then has a ripple effect in our classrooms. And if the basic level of math and literacy is higher in all of our classrooms, then we know schools are going to thrive, and then we know our community is going to thrive. And just to answer a question here that's coming in, yes, you absolutely can volunteer math and reading. Just check that in the form. I think it's a checkbox, so you can check both of those, math and literacy. It would require a commitment of 2 hours per week. I don't think we've had that conversation-ish.
Yeah, I'm just mean like
One.
one per partner essentially,
Yeah,
right? So then
one
you
per
would
partner.
have to commit to 1 hour of literacy and 1 hour of math at least. So just making sure that you have that space in your schedule.
Yeah, perfect.
Great. We just had a question too. Can volunteers live outside of New Haven? And certainly, definitely, you can come from anywhere, all the surrounding towns, your location. We need all the help we can get. All right. Well, you can continue to put on questions on the chat for the next few minutes. Just follow up on what Ron's saying. It is a monumental task of what we're trying to do. I mean, it was a dramatic, we all lived through it, dramatic change and tragic consequences in many aspects, but especially in schooling that occurred over the last several years. And so we need this type of monumental effort to be able to overcome that. It's going to take a while to get up to those big numbers, but it starts somewhere, and it's all little pieces that each one of us can do to play a part and have a really major impact overall. So as everyone has been saying, we really appreciate you taking the time to either join this webinar live or listen to this video. There are always people ready to answer your questions. It may seem like a big jump to get in there, but it's really not that difficult of a task. And there's going to be lots of people who are willing to support you throughout the process. Here's how you do it. You can get involved by going to the website. Katie's put the login there again. We'll make sure we pass that out to everyone, the link, so you can go on apply. Once you get signed up, it's a very simple background check and interview. You'll await a response to make sure that we can make the time work for you. And then you start tutoring and you start working with kids in a really simple process. And really, it's just about that relationship and that bond that you form with the student and being there to be a support for them as they go through their learning. So again, thank you everyone for signing on. If you have questions, let us know and get signed up and start tutoring.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you, Garrett and Katie.
Thank you.